Ahoy there, Legion! With the Trinity Prime Axis ending and Saryn set to start up next week, you'll be able to farm either of them as much as you like. On the other hand, if you wanted to snag a Rhino Prime, your opportunity's running out. He'll be put out to Pasture Prime on the 16th, along with the Boltor and Acro Prime, but at least he'll be locked in with Ember and Mag to keep him company. If any of y'all notice something different about my Rhino, what? This old theme? No, nothing's new. He's just been working out, building up his confidence. Nah, this Palatine Deluxe skin was actually gifted to us by a longtime viewer and loyal Legionnaire XCal. First, I'd like to thank him for his crazy generosity on this awesome skin, and secondly, I'd like to say, dude, you spent like way too much platinum on us. 165 plat? You know how much alloy plate you could have gotten with that? That's like 1,500 polymer bundles right there. Let it be known, if I ever got plat, I'd go out of my way to waste it in the worst possible ways. For example, I'd buy a ton of Orokin cells. Wouldn't even use them. I just have Lotus feed them to me one at a time like grapes, while I sit on a throne made out of fully built Forma and Dragon mod packs. But twisted fantasies and roleplays aside, what about the other end of the spectrum? That's exactly what T-Bone and Dalton requested, as they wanted to know what options die-hard free-to-players have in terms of customization. Platinum can be tight for Tenno, and it is much better spent on weapon and Warframe slots over things that make you look shiny when first starting out. But if you still want to set yourself apart with some personal flair, you can get awful far without spending a dime, and we got just the guide for you. There are quite a few different categories you can choose from while finding your own look, from armor to Syandanas to even some weapon skins. But as far as fashion framing on the cheap, almost all of it comes down to patience and timing. For example, let's start out with one of the most versatile and visible options, color palettes. While you start out, you can only get one row straight down the middle. You can get quite a decent selection if you play the game long enough. Holidays and special events are your primary targets for these, with Easter's pastels, red, white, and blue's hopefully obvious colors, Halloween's pumpkin tones, Shamrock's St. Patty's Day's hues, and Valentine's regal reds, which should be available by the time this goes live. So keep an eye out for that one. Previously, you could purchase these for 1 credit off the market, but last year they started giving them out to anyone who logged in during the event. Not sure if they're going to do it for this year, but if they do, that's cool, because I actually missed out on the classic saturated palette, because I didn't know it was a limited time dealie for credits. Sad face. The next most visible options you can tinker with would be alternate helmets. Nearly every frame has a selection of 2 or more alternate helmets to choose from. You can collect these randomly from alert mission rewards, but I did read one report that building the same Warframe more than once can unlock an alternate helmet when you claim it. I've not tested this out myself, but if you have a spare slot in materials and you really want to get a spare for one of your frames, this could be a method you can try, if they haven't patched it out in the meantime anyway. Alerts not only can grant spare helmets, but also some older weapon skins. Depending on the skin, it not only changes the look of the weapon, but can impact their stats as well. For example, the Brock skin on the Fragor makes it swing faster at the cost of channeling efficiency, or the Manticore skin for the Syndo that slows its attacks but makes it hit harder. Heck, even the recent Shadow Det had a Lacera weapon skin upon completion. You might even get lucky and find giveaways or contests for some, but those are fairly rare, like this orange Breton doohickey. Sigils, space tats for chests and adventurous Tenno who need to set themselves apart. You got a bunch of Syndicate options, but they also grant reputation when you wear them, so you're probably going to make some enemies along the way and even get a visit from one of their death squads. Speaking of death squads, Stalker, G3, and Zanuka Harvester all have a chance to drop a sigil. Pretty sure all the bosses can drop one. Cephalon Cimaris has one. Even the odd tactical alert escalation can sometimes have one on their drop tables, like this here Rift Sigil. Emblems are similar to sigils, but go on either shoulder. Events love to give out these doodads. You can only get them once per event, so if you've missed it, you've missed it. The current Keen of E-Peen is the Stratus Emblem. Like a badge of honor, it keeps tabs of how many tactical alerts you've completed. But the most snazzy's gotta be the Quantum Badge. It was awarded back in Update 12.4's Tethra's Doom event. If you've seen folks floating around with a different type of ship during loading screens, we've got good news and bad news. Good news is you can get both of them for free. Bad news is you're gonna have to live in raids or be unfathomably lucky. The Mantis is the pointy one and requires raiding and ridiculously rare container farming, while the Stingray-like Scimitar is a little less painful as it can drop off G3, Stalker, and Harvester. The look also changes what the air support they provide is, but we don't care how it works, we care how it looks. If you're a big fan of the bow, of all things, arrows can be customized. Last Valentine's, they sold heart arrows for 5,000 1,000 credits. Doesn't sound too bad, except they only lasted for one mission. You can buy skins that are permanent, but that requires platinum, which kinda takes the whole point out of this guide. There is one Prisma arrow variety, but that means we finally arrived at the Czar of Sorry selection, the Sultan of Salt, the Baron of Tears himself, the one, the only, Void Trader Baro. This guy's got it all, but he only deals in Ducats and credits. I'll put our Ducat farming guide up for you in the description, but in terms of customization he can sell the aforementioned Prisma arrows, a Liset skin, a Kubro skin, the Exilus Redeemer skin, a Quanta skin, the Prisma Sciana, Prisma Gracana, Prisma Dual Cleavers, Prisma Tetra, Prisma Gorgon, Mara Tetron, Prisma Shade and its accessories, the Prisma Daedalus, Prisma Edo, and Prime Eos cosmetic armor sets, the Prisma Hecate and Prisma Yamako Syandanas, a wiggly fire melee weapon attachment of oh so much importance, and a Noggle for your Liset of himself. Cheeky bast. Hopefully this list will help you express yourself when slaughtering the various opposing factions that stand in your way. Speaking of factions, you can also get a Syandana from Syndicates as well, assuming you're at max rank and have 100k rep to spare. And finally, earning its spot in the end credits due to lack of popularity, you can get a bunch of sigils and even some weapon skins out of PvP and Conclave. If you're new to PvP and can handle the deck firmly stacked against you when first starting out, you can still potentially leave with skins for the Daiku, Furax, Cronin, Plateau, Lex, Strun, and Sybaris. I don't know if it'll be worth the blackout frustration and high blood pressure medication, but when that hospital bill arrives, tell him you can't put a price on fashion. But you can put a price on healthcare, so hopefully your legs are working, because you should probably run at that point. But it's all good. I'll have Lotus whip some spare Oricon cells at him and provide you some cover fire and an escape. Thank you for watching, and catch you next time, Legion. Take care.